So, hey,
Hey.
what's going down?
It's going down.
Say it.
It's going down.
No, say the other part.
You're on the recovery pod.
A.
A.
A, B, C, D. No, yeah, what's up?
D.
D.
I don't know. I was just thinking about how we are powerless over our addiction, right? But the layer underneath that is that we're powerless over ourselves. So we abuse drugs, or did. So we also abuse ourselves too.
Ooh.
And
Tell me
to
more.
be specific, I don't want to anymore. To be specific, we abuse our defects.
Okay.
And so, using the same methods, the same, like I've heard you say, play the tape through or whatever. Use that for the defects part. So I've been really working on that lately, where when I'm aware of what I'm doing and my defects and stuff, and I see I'm powerless over them, it's like I'm starting to apply the same concepts for that as I did for, like, when I try to quit drugs. I just play it all the way through, like, is this defect gonna serve me? Is it gonna help me? Like my self-judgment, my fear of failure. And when I just think of it all the way through, does it have any place? Is it gonna, like, help me be better, do better?
Okay.
It never does. So are these drugs gonna make me feel better? Are they gonna make, like, in the moment, it feels like a good idea. It feels like a good idea to get high and just escape my thoughts. But afterwards, I'm left with that same feeling again. I come back to that same shitty, like, emptiness that I have to fill again using something. So I get the same way with my defects. Okay, so I start getting angry at myself, upset, judgmental, whatever the defect that's going on right now. When I let it take over me, when I let it, I get that, I started noticing, I get that same, like, empty feeling, like, well, what was the point in that? I feel like shit still. So, it doesn't, you get what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, I just feel like it's kind of hard when you're feeling it because it's kind of like a trigger to where you're like, yes, you can be, well, I can be aware when I'm in a trigger, but it's still really, really hard to just think it away. Like, I cannot act on it, sure. Like, I can understand it's a trigger. I could see that following that trigger isn't going to serve me. And that's when I kind of either, I don't know if I internalize and shut down to a degree, but I also know that I shouldn't act during this state because, especially if like a conversation's involved or any further action is involved, because then when I get into it, I am then thinking on the spot with my trigger brain. And that's why I don't really like to engage when I'm triggered. And I know you're not really talking about trigger, you're talking about, like, these thoughts, but I'm kind of relating them.
No, they're the same pretty much, I feel like, sometimes.
Yeah, like, so if I have, like, a fear of failure with, like, stage fright, it's hard to just push through that and get on a stage where I have to perform. So if I have a trigger with inadequacy, like educationally or intellectually, it's hard to push through that thinking it away because I have to still continue to think and act in those moments if I'm going to engage. right? And it's hard with you like constantly have to like filter those negative thoughts. I don't know. My brain thinks differently when I have the confidence. So for me, I don't know. I totally see what you're saying. Like sitting with it and processing it and dismissing it. Like you're not serving me right now, but I'm just throwing out there that at least for me, I feel like it's really hard to filter that and continue the process. Now I can do that walking away from it and not take all them feelings with me and kind of like let them lead me down that dark path of I suck. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
in the moment, it's possible. It's just really hard to make it go away. You can like ignore it and not walk with it.
Yeah, so here's what I'm trying to get at. I understand it's really hard once you are triggered, because that's equivalent to when you're trying to, you're in the first like phase of getting clean, maybe like a month or two, and you get that drug right in front of you somehow. And that's a trigger. You are triggered then and there. And you feel like you are powerless and you feel like you have to take it.
Right.
So that's equivalent to when some shit goes down and you feel like you are powerless over this feeling right here and now. Like it's completely taking over you and you just, you seriously, like, I know for myself, like when I'm in class and I'm starting to get that feeling of, oh no, this is hard and I'm not going to be able to figure this out. Like, it takes every fucking part of me. And I just take off in it. Because I believe that I am powerless over that feeling. I don't have a choice to not feel this way because it just does not serve me. Same with the drugs. When we are, first getting clean or whatever, we're in that state of, dude, I can't, like, I have to, or something. But it all depends, like, just when you're, like, maybe, like, a day or two, first couple of days when you're still having withdrawals or something.
Right.
So, because that's where we're at. We've been abusing these defects for a long time, and have we gotten clean off them for a long time? No, we can't. We feel we have to let the mind take over. We feel like we have to let the feeling... And I, like I said, I struggle real bad with it still. But I'm starting to understand how those two can be compared. How the whole thing with powerlessness, feeling powerless over something, it's not just drugs. There's a whole layer beneath that, There are people that are not addicts that are powerless over their defects too. So we just happen to choose that path and use drugs to cover it up. So, yeah, and the more I'm seeing it, it reminds me of when I first decided that I need help. Like when I first realized that I wanted to get sober, but I tried to do it on my own. I fucking just did not want any help. I, tried to do it myself. I moved out of my ex's house, thinking that would help, but the thoughts were still there. So I could feel myself not wanting it. I can feel myself just not wanting to take it, but in the moment it was like, dude, I don't see any other way. I don't see any other way of coping with life, with just coping with dealing, just feeling, surviving, existing the way I am right now. I cannot do this. And that is exactly how I feel about these defects. I cannot complete these tasks without that fear of failure. I cannot do anything without judging myself, making sure that feeling like that judgment serves me, feeling like that judgment's going to make me better, that it's going to, make me more motivated or whatever. Just like I think the drugs are going to make me feel better. That is not true. And I am, like, seriously, I'm starting to see this pattern, and it just feels so good because there are other ways that I can just do better in life. Like I thought there are other ways that I can feel better without drugs, like meditating and stuff, or working out. Same with, like, these defects, but I'm still in that withdrawal phase that is very hard. So, do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah. So like, kind of like, instead of like having a using thought and letting that thought fester and grow into a craving, and then letting that craving grow into a trigger, into like, okay, I'm full blown, like about to lose my mind, distracted, like my mind's a mile a minute. You're kind of saying that you're starting to catch it at the thought phase, where it's the thought and you're able to like play the tape through how it's about to play out and dismiss it early, so you're not sucked into a trigger where you're powerless and you're believing the trigger and then stuck in that thing where you can't function, right?
Yep.
Okay. So yeah, I do that a lot with like my triggers. There's a lot of times where I have a funk thought start and I'm able to dismiss it. And then I can get through, just a funky vibe or something putting me off and shake it. It's when, it gets allowed to get festered and grown. For me, is when it becomes then the craving trigger territory where I'm stuck in it now. You know what I mean? And I almost have to, I don't give into it much, but the deeper I get into it, the more I believe it, and the more the thoughts are very, very hard to shake.
Yep.
That's when I see people differently. That's when I see the world differently, and like myself differently, if I allow it. To where, I don't know, just sometimes it can creep up on me where I'm like, okay, I think this way. And then I'm like, no, I can quickly be like, this is, a trigger from the past. This is you worrying about the future. This is you just not liking this moment. And then I can move on. But then if I walk down that road, it becomes this is why I'm this way. This person is that way. And this is their motive. And this is how it's always going to be. And how am I going to now change the way I act or the way I do things according to this new permanent change that's going to forever be here. That's where my brain goes when I get fully triggered. Like, okay, this is the way it is. You're seeing it, and it's a still shot image of like a wave. And I'm like, the wave is always going to be this high, knowing that waves come and go, rise and fall, and calm. But when I focus on this one image and then I see the ocean as this big scary wave, I get so lost in it, and then I'm just stuck. And I have to like leave the beach to like reset and then come back when the water's calm and be like, oh yeah, that was just like a big scary flash. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like that's a good metaphor in my head, but I feel like it probably came out bad.
No, it's good. Yeah, I wish I could, when I get in that moment, when I get triggered, I have a strong pull towards people to make me feel better. It's like, oh my God, I need somebody right now, and I started breaking it down why I have attachment issues. And my first thought when something's going on that's, really hard in my life, or, my first thought is I need emotional support right now from somebody. I need somebody to sit there and tell me it's going to be okay. Because I've missed it my whole life. And whenever any slight little thing goes wrong, I attach because I need that support. I need somebody. And it's just, I've been missing that. And I've learned to accept that. I have learned to be okay with it. I've learned to let it come. And I've also learned that I can be there for myself to give that emotional support. That's where I can fill in that void. So someday I'll be able to learn to, if I'm in a triggered state, I just have to, just be by myself. Because that seems to be the best thing. Because, yeah, I get... Also, another thing is when I'm feeling that way in the triggered state, I am also hard on myself for being this way. The more I feel horrible about whatever it is that I feel horrible about, the more harder I am on myself. So the worse the feeling is, the worse I am on myself. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, I'm like a total opposite in this way. Because, I feel like it comes with good reason, but I can kind of see why it is now. Because I was always told as a kid, praised, I love you, you're smart, you're this and you're that those words don't hit me the same. And when I became a self-soother because I need to figure out how to be okay with me because the words don't mean anything to me. Like, if I'm going through something bad and somebody's like, it's going to be okay, I don't believe them, or I feel like they're just saying it. So like, that's when people like mistreat me but tell me they love me, I hate it. Like, I absolutely hate it because it does nothing for me. It feels like a manipulation. So like, there's been situations I've been in where, just the actions, and that's not to say I was just like abused or just fully mistreated, but where the actions don't match the words and the I love yous don't mean shit to me because they're just coming, they don't match, right? Yeah. So I can't believe your words. Now that's another extreme, and that's part of me being like conditioned and broken relationship wise or whatever. But like, when it comes to seeking outside comfort, I think that's a lot of where it was, is because like, I don't want someone to just tell me it's going to be okay. I need to figure out how to be okay. And that's kind of why I go back to myself and try to go within, what is it in me that's not cool right now? Because it's always something. Like, it's either my acceptance of the situation that I need to work on. It's either my acceptance of the person I'm dealing with, like, because sometimes there is more going on, and I get people have triggers, people have off moments, people are imperfect, they're human. But like, when things happen enough with certain people, that's when I need to step back and really assess what's going on. Now, in a triggered state, I'm only going to see the bad, and I get that. In the lovey-dovey phase, I'm only going to see the good, and I get that. So when I step back, I'm able to process everything and kind of compartmentalize it and track it and see, where do I really stand? Like, journaling really helps with that, because then I can like look back and say, this is where my head was at on this funky day. So if I go journal when I'm like triggered or feeling really off, I don't always go back and read them, but every now and then I will. I can like go in there on a good day and be like, damn, I wrote this. And sometimes it's like, this is something you need to consider when you're feeling good, because it's something that you may not be seeing or thinking of right now because you wrote it off because you're over it. And then at the same time, when I journal and it's good, it may be something I can see when I'm triggered and not feeling so good, or feeling like that point of view where I'm only seeing the bad, and I can be reminded of the good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know, I just went way left field with this, but that's how I process and get to my peaceful place is, I just need to feel okay with me. I feel like, I don't know. I get what you're saying. Like, when I used to go to people, I felt like it was kind of a distraction. Like, I'm just trying to forget about my problem. So I'm going to somebody to get them to distract me. And I'm trying to fulfill this void I have right now with someone else, And yeah, it just, but, and I'll wrap it up. The biggest part is I don't want to have to need anybody. Like, because if I have to have somebody to soothe me, then I don't have control. That's pretty much it. Like, I am then dependent on you to help me. And I got to a point where I didn't have anyone to help me for a while. So I had to learn how to help myself. And that's why I try to rely on myself that way. not just to be in control, but that way I at least have some power. That's it.
Okay. So
wait. No, I'm just kidding.
anyways, I feel that. And, when it comes to that, it's been a while since I have used people as like, when I don't know how to explain this because this is where it gets a little confusing and tricky and hard to explain. But I also have the feeling of I don't ever want to need anybody. I have this over-independence thing, whether it's financial, emotional, all that stuff. But when I'm in a triggered state, I'm trying to so I have the thing where I have to be okay with myself every single time I do it. So I will sit there and I will let that trigger flow through me like a ball of energy. I will feel it. I will cry. I will scream. I will just do whatever I need. I will not act out on my impulse to, reach out to people. But the feeling I have deep down is still like, it's screaming. Like my inner child, all I can think of is it just wants love and attention. It is dying for it. And I don't ever, because I know it's gotten to the point where it's like unhealthy. Because, the wounded inner child, only I can heal it now. Nobody can help me with it. It is my responsibility. Like, yeah, it has happened from childhood, things that have not, I was deprived of love. I didn't understand. I didn't know what being loved felt like. So ever since then, I've been trying to like search it. And especially in times when something is going on, something is wrong, I feel, I'm scared, I'm sad, like, I'm just searching for it. But now I've gotten to the point where I can sit with it. And I can observe that voice. And, yeah, so, but my main point of this whole thing was just...
Oh, you didn't even make your point yet?
I've actually made it previously. But yeah, because like you said, you had, all the praise during your childhood, so yours was the opposite. Mine was the opposite. I didn't get praise. I got shit on, basically, and have not been shown love or affection or been told that I'm loved or that I'm, smart, that I'm doing good. Like, so I've been searching for it. I've been like, it was like a drug for me. So, that's why it's different. But we're the same in a way. We just sit and we let ourselves deal with it because we can only rely on ourselves to feel that power. So I feel like I'm gaining that power now, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah, and I'm trying to work on reaching out to people because sometimes, I do need people, and, I can do it on my own, but maybe it would still help me build connections and trust and, not that I would need to view it as an extreme, like I need to rely on someone or I need to be totally self-sufficient. But there are times where I'm like, I could benefit from reaching out, from leaning on people. And I do in like meetings and stuff. Like I'm not afraid to be open. I'm not closed off by any means. But I definitely don't like call my sponsor when I'm really triggered or, like I don't seek someone for relief or an answer or comfort. And, I like that I don't need to, but I still could utilize that.
Yeah,
so I think we're both like inching towards our defaults because we are like straight opposite. Like you're like, oh, I'm like financially independent. And I'm like, I don't need to be that. Like, I don't mind sharing. Like, I don't want to rely on somebody, but I definitely don't mind being able to use somebody. Like, not use them, but like benefit from sharing with them. You know what I mean? Like, that's fine to me. I don't need to make sure like, well, I need to make sure I can do this all on my own, even though we're, getting married and blah, blah, blah. Like, I need a safety net. Like, I don't need that, but I do need my own self-sufficiency emotionally. And, You know, you may think it's all like fun and games being like praised and loved.
No,
but
I don't. I never said that.
no. I'm just saying, like, it had an opposite effect on me. Like,
I know.
was just, and I'm not saying it was bad in any way. I'm not going to sit here and be like, my parents love me too much. Like, but it was like, it makes me like shun love sometimes. Like, it's hard to say, but it
is a very, dude, I feel that.
there's times where people are just like overly affectionate to me, and I'm like,
that sucks.
My boy is just like, love you, bro. And I'm like, cool, man. Talk to you later. Like, I hate that. I wish I could just, even if I say it back, even if I feel it back, I still get that initial, like, you know, and it sucks. Like, and I don't think it's anyone's fault. It's not because someone said it too much or anything. I think I just developed that with a twisted thought where I was like, you know, they're lying to me. You know what I mean? Like, even like my parents, like my mom and my grandparents, like, tell me how smart I am, tell me how good I am. And I was very smart. But then when some kid in school would call me dumb or stupid, I just got this thought like, well, my parents have to tell me that. They wouldn't tell me I'm stupid and I'm a fucking ugly idiot. You know what I mean? So then I start believing this asshole who like is just talking shit, who doesn't know what he's talking about. And he's just trying to put me down because maybe people put him down.
Yeah.
But I took the idea that like, I can't trust what my parents say because they're never going to shoot me straight. So it kind of flipped to another extreme where I'm like, oh, well, these people are telling me the truth, but really they were the other side of the extreme. But I think that kind of put in me this distrust for people who are telling me the things that people are supposed to tell you.
Yeah.
So that's why when, you know, people want to like, I don't know. Like, I always just like, what's your angle here? Like, why are you doing this?
That makes so much
like,
sense now.
You just have to say that. But, you know, and I know my parents weren't just saying that. They do love me. And I keep saying my parents, but like my mom and grandparents. But I'm sure my dad loves me in his own way. But hey, whatever, bro.
No, that makes so much more sense now. And that's why, like, you're always saying, like, well, I would rather just do something rather than say the words, I love you. Like, I remember you saying that. Because words mean nothing or something.
It's not that they mean nothing. It's just that they are just words. And they can be manipulated and used. Doesn't mean they always are. But I don't know. I've just never been the one to be like, just tell me how you feel. Because I need to hear those words. And those words are going to be the meaning to me. Like, nah, I don't need anybody to say anything. Now, I did hit a point in life where I did need the reassurance, but that was because I was broken and I was really like insecure at the time. So I needed the reassurance, but also the actions were highly not matching the words. So that's kind of why I was insecure, is because I knew shit was wrong and I just wasn't accepting it. But normally I know like how people feel. Like I've told you plenty of times, like I already know what's up. Like, you know what's up. Like, we both know what's up, just don't need to say it. I mean, it's cool to say it, and I'm not saying I won't say it or it's wrong to say it or I don't like saying it, but it doesn't need to be said. Because if you know what is there,
For you.
I'm just saying, but if you know what's there, sure. But yeah.
I get what you're saying, that it doesn't need to be said because that's how you see it, and I can see why you see it, and I also see it that way.
Do you see it?
But I have the complete opposite problem. You need to keep in mind.
I'm not saying what I'm saying is true for you or everybody. I know you have a different perspective.
For me,
and
it's really important
I would
to
guess
hear.
it's the opposite.
Yeah. If you ever doubt where my perspective is, just
Opposite.
think of yours and then complete opposite.
But like, hey, you know, all the way over there on the other side, like as far as you can go, that's where I'll be at. Way over there.
But yeah, like for me, it's I need to hear it. It's not for the reassurance either, because I know it's easy to get that mixed up for some sort of reassurance. For me, it's just, I never got enough of that. Ever. I never heard it.
Okay, so let me ask
Like,
you
being
then.
told I am beautiful, being told that I'm loved, being told just, like, these kind, sweet things, because it's just so, like,
Go.
I snoozed it.
So let me ask you. I know you were on a roll, but I want to ask you before I forget. Do you need to hear these things because you don't know if that's how the person feels, or you just want to hear it because it gives you the comfort and you're kind of fulfilling an old childhood need? You know what I'm trying to say? Like, if you want someone to tell you they love you, it's because you don't know if they love you and you want to know. Not reassurance, but
It's
just...
because I simply like the feeling I get when I hear it.
Okay.
That's my love language.
That's what I was asking.
Like, some people's is acts of service, like showing and doing. Mine is words and physical affection. You know?
Okay.
That's just, like, it's just what it is. And there doesn't need to be any... It's not something that's really hard. I mean, if it's hard for you to say, I understand, and I see that it is, and I'm not gonna, like, be super onto you, which I'm not. So, but I'm just saying from my standpoint. And, anyways, the whole point of this thing for me was getting to where, like, catching the trigger before it gets out of hand. Like, I've learned there's a different kind of emotions that I'm dealing with. Like, ever since I learned how to feel, I would get confused the triggered emotion with the present real emotion. And I'm just like, what the hell am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to let myself feel everything? Or am I supposed to, you know, just not let something get out of hand or not let anything get out of hand? I was so confused. But now it makes sense. If it's something that, like, happens presently, that, you know, I don't know. What's a good example? I got money stolen from... Well, I don't even care about money.
I need to be financially stable on my own. I don't care about money, though.
It's really hard to explain. I don't want to get into the money conversation. So, I don't know. Like... Can't even think of anything. Just, okay, I got a bad grade on a test, right?
Gotcha. You got a D.
I got the D, and I'm like, oh, that sucks, like, I'm upset, you know, whatever. And then that feeling just flows, like, it comes, I'm upset, didn't go the way I wanted to, and then I let it go. Or, I let the feeling come, and I just, like, freaking just rev it up till it's, like, taken off, and I'm just completely like, well, I'm a failure, I suck, I can't do anything right, I might as well just quit, I will never amount to anything.
Right.
So there's the difference right there. And the difference is, am I letting this trigger, because it does trigger something. So am I gonna let this trigger give it power? Or am I gonna catch it right then and there and think, nope, this feeling that I'm about to get is not gonna serve me. Play the tape through. If I take this drug, if I take this drink, like, is it gonna make me feel better? Yes. What's gonna happen after? Not shit. I'm gonna be even worse off than I was already. So, do you get what I'm saying?
I'm sorry, what? Yeah, I do. Don't hit the pod.
Took your phone.
Don't hit my mic. Damn. Somebody help. No, yeah, I get it. It's hard. All right, so it's hard for me. I'm trying to think of something similar for me. So, like, do you ever stop and think, reframing, not just dismiss it and it's nothing, but also not, I'm stupid, I'm a failure, and I'm forever going to be dumb. Like, I didn't study enough for this test. Or,
Yeah.
you know, things like
That's
that.
what I'm talking about.
Yeah, so I mean, like, kind of reframing it instead of like, I am definitely this or I am the sum of that. just like, well, damn, you know, I kind of messed up right there.
And that's,
you know, maybe you can always use that as an opportunity to grow in the future. But yeah, I mean, it's like upsetting, and I could see why you'd go there, because I can make 5 fire songs, and I can make 1 bad one. At like my 6th one could be bad, and I can easily just, it's more than just a thought that happens right then and there. It brings back a whole vibe for me. It like brings back my failure personality when I used to make shitty songs. So I completely understand what you're saying, and sometimes I'm sorry, am I boring you?
You weren't even listening to me, apparently.
Oh yeah, you're just getting petty then?
Like when
Anyway, welcome to the Stevie J podcast, where it's just me. Damn. So yeah, no, I can kind of like creep into that mode where I'm like, oh yeah, I suck. You know, I might as well. Why do I even make music? You know what I mean? It's stupid. Like all my songs suck anyway, and then I can even go listen to those 5 songs, but I'm listening to this mopey ass attitude where I'm like, well, just find anything that sucks about it so you can like make your point and be right. And then of course I'll just be like, yeah, this shit isn't that great anyway. Like I've literally, I did that not long ago, actually, like a few weeks ago, where I made a song, or I made like a little snippet of a song, and I just had a bad studio day, and I was like, fuck, this sucks, man. Why do I even do this? Like, this is dumb. I go listen to the other 3 or 4 songs I'm working on that I was already like hella lit up about, and I was like, these are fire. And then I listened to it, and I'm like, these are trash. Like, seriously. And it just get the whole vibe where I'm like, just fucking quit, dude. And then I go listen to them all again, and even the one I don't like, in a different mind state on a different day. And I'm like, dude, I was just tripping, man. Like, this isn't even that bad, and these are fire, you know? Like, so it's good to recognize, like, in those moments, but it's so hard because in those moments you almost can convince yourself that, like, this is the real, like, my eyes are open and I'm seeing things. And then it's just same with using thoughts, like not just like a trigger, like, oh, I have a craving or I'm around it, so it's like triggering. I mean the thoughts that come where you're like, I know it's going to be bad. I want to relapse, and I think it's a good idea. Like, those are the scary ones. And that's kind of like similar to this mode we get in. So like, I don't know, like your answer, catching it right away and not going down that road of negative self-talk, like my answer, you know, hey, I'm just having a bad studio day. And I've done that too, where I'm just like, man, it's just not my day. And then I just go do something else.
Yeah, everybody has their own way of just catching it in that moment. And same with, you know, using drugs. Everybody has had their own way of battling that, you know, of